フルカウンター
So a question I see far too often is, well, when is Ragnarok going to shut down? Or the game's going to shut down within the next few months? Or it won't last another year? And well, boys, people honestly just don't know what we're talking about. This game is going to last a very long time. And we know how long it's going to last because we have a pattern right now in the game that confirms the game's going to last probably another couple years. So before we jump into when the game's going to shut down, what will shut down is this channel if you don't subscribe. So if you are new, then do subscribe. We're doing Ragnarok content every single day. Been a little bit inactive recently, but for good reasons. So boys, let's just jump in. So I think it's important to start off with why a game shuts down. Now there's two reasons. One, they don't make enough money, and then two is, well, they reached the end goal of the game, the end part of the story mode, whether the game covers it or not. And I think this happens quite often, at least the two games that I know of recently. So if a game does make it through, well, not dying because they don't make enough money, then the typical endpoint would be yes, when the game does finish the story mode. So I know with the game that I played was Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, or Kingdom Hearts UX, whatever you want to call it. It lasted from the start point to the end point, which was to finish story mode, and once the story finished, boom, the game shut down. And we saw this recently with Dragalia Lost. I haven't played this game, but from this recent tweet they tweeted out, it looks like they're going to wrap up the story mode, and that is why they are closing down the story. So when we compare that to Grand Cross, well, we are about to start season 4, not even gotten into season 4 yet. So in terms of that, we have a very long time before this game shuts down, if the game does shut down based on story mode. And the next one is making money. Now, this is very subjective because each company has their own threshold of how much money they should be making, and it's quite complicated to get into it, but I think it's safe to say Netmarble is not doing too bad in terms of making money for Grand Cross, especially when you keep introducing all these greedy tactics about getting characters 6-6. It's quite annoying, especially for festivals, but it's what's going to keep the game alive. So there are two games coming out this year that people believe will shut down Grand Cross. Like, actually think this, which is a bit ridiculous, but I'll go for it anyway. The first is Black Clover Mobile, mainly because, well, this game actually does look like Grand Cross, but just for Black Clover. And that's because, well, the people who made Grand Cross are also making this new Black Clover game. And that's fine because, well, the people who made Grand Cross don't stay on the team because all they need after they made the game is one animators and modelers to make the new characters and an artwork team to make all the card designs and the actual artwork for the characters. And yeah, that is it. I guess you could argue the player base leaving to that game because, once again, they look very similar. We haven't seen gameplay just yet, but in terms of where it's heading, they both look very, very similar. And, well, if you like Black Clover more, then you may go for that game and spend your money. So there could be an argument there, but that's not really going to shut down Grand Cross. The next one, and actually is a fair point, is 70 Sins Origins. This is the literal sequel, the predecessor to Grand Cross. And the difference here as well, they've already confirmed both will coexist together. On screen now, this is an interview they did a while ago, and they do say that both the Origin and Grand Cross teams are completely different, and they're going to coexist together. And that is because, well, they are doing it quite smart. Grand Cross Origin, despite the trailer, is not going to repeat the whole 70 Sins storyline, because we just experienced that, and still are experiencing that on Grand Cross. In the interview, they said they're doing the Original Story, which will have, I think, I'm not too sure the following Tristan, but they're going to do like a sort of new different thing, kind of like how they do Ragnarok, but now rather than some original characters, they're going to do 70 Sins characters, and kind of take place, I guess, between the Four Nights Apocalypse and also, actually, how would it make sense? It's not canon, it's weird, because Tristan is a kid here, but he should be adult when Percival's alive. So it doesn't really make sense. They're kind of embracing the fact that it's not supposed to make sense. And just going to do a new original story that's going to be sort of, you know, enticing towards new players. But also, if you're a big 70 Cents fan, then you're going to enjoy the storyline too. And well, if you want to experience the actual 70 Cents storyline, then you can experience it in Grand Cross. So with that being said, I do believe the game will shut down around the time the story does finish, and well, we can kind of predict when that's going to happen, because well, we get a chapter every month in terms of Grand Cross. However, they do rotate between 70 Sins and also Ragnarok, so it's around 2 months now per 70 Sins chapter. And if we kind of do the math, you can kind of work out how long we have left before the game does reach the actual endpoint of the story. So right now we're in episode 465 when Derry does approach Elizabeth, and that is at the start of chapter 262 in the manga. It's a lot easier to kind of work out in the manga terms, and then also this chapter does end around 266. So in terms of story content, each every 2 months towards Grand Cross is around 4 to 5 chapters. Now it depends if there's a lot of fighting or a lot of dialogue. It can get confusing. So this isn't the exact date. They could skip chapters like we just saw this month, and we can also get 2 chapters a month like how we got early this year. So it's not the best date, but a good rough estimate how long it could take. So like I said, this chapter does end off on 266 when basically Esterosa does take Elizabeth, and then the story chapters continue on 267, which is where we're going to get next month when we do get the new 70s storyline. And if you work out how much chapters we have left, that means we have up to chapter 346, which are roughly around 79 worth of chapters left in terms of manga. And if we are covering about 4 to 5 chapters worth of manga content in each story update for Grand Cross, that's going to roughly take around 15 months if we was to get it every month, which means if we're getting story chapters every 2 months now, the story will end up finishing in around 30 months. However, there are roughly around 9 chapters left of Ragnarok, and like I said, we did skip one this month, so we're only long out the time a little bit, which means there are 18 months of them 30 months that are going to be releasing basically every 2 months now. So with all the math done, a rough estimate, the actual game will actually right now, coincidentally, actually end up in 2 years' time, which will be on the 5th anniversary of Global, which is a convenient time. But Netmarble did plan to finish off the new season, or I guess season 3 of the anime, with the recent update in the story chapter. So maybe this is all planned. But yeah, with that being said, that means the game wouldn't end for 2 more years on the dot, give or take a few months, and that's when the game could possibly shut down. But does that mean it will shut down? Well, no, actually, because in a recent interview again, they did actually confirm that there are plans to actually start adapting Fortnite Apocalypse after the story of 17 does end. Which means if we get the story to end in around 2 years' time, the game won't shut down, and instead they'll start adapting Fortnite Apocalypse. And right now, there are currently 55 worth of chapters right now they could adapt if they were to start right now. And we got to remember, we get a chapter every week or so, which means in 2 years' time, it's possible the whole manga could be finished in 2 years' time. Who knows? Which means the lifespan of 17's Grand Cross is going to last a very, very long time. Now, I believe at that point, it probably would likely close down to one, just lack of motivation. I mean, if the devs don't want to work in the game, I believe that's why Naruto Blazing did shut down to a certain extent. And also people stop spending money. Then the game will eventually die if they don't want to end it after the 17 storyline. But like I said, there isn't confirmation, even though they did say they would like to. It could still not happen, and he still may not work on Fortnite Apocalypse and rather just make a new game. But who knows? But at least we do know the game's going to last another 2 more years in terms of 17's content, and that's not even all of it. There's still rumors and I guess leaks that we're supposed to get the vampire arcs, which could be another few more months of content, and we still technically need to get 2 or 3 even movies worth of content. The recent sort of movie that came out with was it Dahlia and Dubs, we can still get adapted. That could be like a monthly thing we get for a few months maybe. And also I believe there are 2 movies in the work. It's with Tristan, I think the Prince of Edinburgh, I think the corner with Death Pierce, and that's a 2-part movie I believe as well. So there's yeah, even though 17 has ended, there's still a lot of content coming out towards the whole, like, I guess, universe, and the game possibly could last a very long time, and that's basically all up to Netmarble, and I guess the player base too, because if people start leaving, then yeah, I guess if no one's playing the game, then Netmarble will be forced to shut it down, which I think is the likelihood here, because once again, story content, Netmarble has a gold mine to work with here. But will people be around long enough to see it all through? Who knows? But boys, thank you for watching, and yeah, I guess that's all for today, and yeah, peace.